time I close my eyes, I see the night again. In all the dreams I have, I hear the sound of angels cry. Take me back, I need to find those distant memories. Hold on close, slowly, not far through it all. In all the life I've been searching for a better world, but time has let me down. Here we stand on this broken land, raise my head up high, I can see the sun. We are the children, with fire in the sky, and we are the future. Our souls in the night will never die. Feel the change, it seems it's like the same old day to me. Nothing here I have to live before they capture me. In all my life I've been searching for a better world, but time has let me down. Here we stand on this broken land, raise my head up high, I can see the sun. We are the children, with fire in the sky. We are the future. Our souls in the night will never die.
And ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, May 18th, and we are live. And not with Dixie Dave this week. He is actually taking the week off on a vacation, you could say, visiting his family in South Dakota. And we're joined with none other than NWF alumni Jamie McParland. It's good to see you, Jamie.
It's good to be back. It's an honor to be back for a second time. I guess I didn't mess up the first time too bad. So.
No, I actually loved that interview when you were on. We had some good conversation on that show.
I had a lot of fun. It was great talking to you and Dave. So
yeah, it was
looking forward
fun.
to this week for sure.
You know, it's the thing is, so this week when you were on with us, we watched one of your first shows, I think. Early on
at the pole barn.
At the pole barn in Dayton, early in '87. Now we're gonna watch like a year later almost.
Right. Yeah, in December, I think.
Yeah, it's a matter of fact, look at the information here. We're going to be watching TV Taping 110 from the Dri-Dock, December 16th, 1987. So a whole pretty much a year in now. So we'll see the transformation of the Irish Terror to Ricky Vaughn here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And it was, it's, of course, this is that match we were talking about. Crossen against Ricky Vaughn.
It's definitely one of my favorites. You were such a great wrestler. And so at that, it was a good challenge for me to kind of try to bring up my skills and be a good opponent for you.
I'm trying to think how the match came. I'm trying to think how this match came about. I don't know if we wanted to do it or if it was suggested. I don't remember.
I mean, in '87, when we weren't wrestling, you and I were hanging out a ton.
Oh yeah.
And I think it was just like, it was a no-brainer, good guy versus good guy or whatever. Doesn't really make sense, but we just wanted to wrestle together.
Right.
Because I think, we had personal chemistry and yeah, I think we did a lot of sparring and practice together, so it kind of made sense that, let's have a match. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a good match too.
yeah.
Of course, I was booed. Uh, and the thing is,
How,
I don't know if we'll hear the boos because I had to bring my music down for the copyright issues,
right, yeah.
and which brings the boos down.
yeah.
But just remember, if we don't hear it, I was definitely booed that night.
Well,
And
to be fair, I think is this the match where I fell through the ropes and Rick pulled me?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Just a
so
little slip
that's
up.
why
You got hung up on it.
Yeah. So I was much smaller than you. Well, we'll see in the match, but I fall through the ropes and I get stuck and I can't get out. And then the referee Rick pulls me out, and I think at that point that's when when I got over with the crowd because they felt sorry for me, So then, then I was the baby face. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
And there
cheap
was
way to get
and
points.
another thing interesting on this show is the commentators. It's Jason Crossen and Mike Whaley, Mr. Macho. They're the match commentators, but it's not Mr. Macho. He's going by Jimmy Voigt. He's the one that changed his name again.
Oh, right.
And not as much as you did, but he changed it.
Yeah, I thought Mr. Macho was a great name.
I know. We all did.
Too bad that he changed it. Yeah.
Some of the guys just didn't. Maybe, and you yourself, you just weren't comfortable with the gimmick in the at first. And
yeah. Well, I think that I didn't pick Irish Terror. That was assigned to me by
Dinsmore.
Dinsmore.
Yep.
And I didn't. At that point, I'm in 7th grade, right? I don't even know what Irish Terror means. Like, I don't know. There's issues in Ireland with England. Like I don't know any of that stuff.
Right.
So. Yeah, I was never comfortable with the name. And then when I switched to Invader 3, it's because I wanted to join a team, and then that fell through. And then from there it was okay, I'm finally gonna pick my own name. And it wasn't great. That wasn't great either. So
the thing with the Dri-Dock era is it was better than when the first time the NCWA tried to take over.
Yeah.
With the adults. This was a better attempt. With having them run it, but it's still kind of lost it just wasn't the same as when we were in complete control,
right.
With the league.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, I came in at the total tail end of when you guys were in total control. So most of my memories are NCW. What were they called? The
NCWA and
NCWA. Yeah, so most of my memory is that.
Right.
And there were a lot of guys in that league that I liked. There was that guy Donnie, I think.
Donnie, what was he a wrestler?
Yeah, he was he was an adult wrestler.
Dion,
that's right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Dynamite Dion Dallas, Outlaw Dion.
Yeah, I thought he was real talented and stuff, and he was super cool to us.
Yeah, he was.
So,
but he wasn't necessarily. He was on that edge of being a teenager going into adult himself, so he was right on the teetering on that himself.
He just seemed, he's I think I was 13 when this was going on, so he seemed like a total adult.
The thing is that that era though, the good thing about it is it was a really good age spread. Like there were you at 13, and then we had 15, 16, 17, 18, and then into the early 20s and in the mid 20s. So there was a really big spread and a lot of people in all them different age brackets.
Yeah.
So that you didn't feel like you were, it didn't feel like it was kids and adults. It felt like a good mix. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And Ernie Ellis ran it is fairly good. I mean, I don't have no beef with Ernie and how he ran that league at that point. The only thing I think he screwed up on, Jamie, I don't know if I told you about this, but there was a time when Local Origination wanted to come and do our show. They wanted to take it off of public access and go on to LO. And to do that, then we would be able to make money. You get advertisers and we share the profits with the cable company.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And Jeff Dinsmore, he was all on board, and we pitched it to Ernie, and Ernie's like, yeah, sounds good. But then Greg Bushman and Scott Dotzler, my guys, who were the video production guys in the van, well, they're out. They're out of a gig now because it's LO has their own crew. So they kind of do the puppy dog face to Ernie and, oh, we're going to lose our, gig. We can't do it. We really like doing it. And then Ernie felt bad for him and said, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah. They couldn't have been making that much money. I mean, geez.
Well, they weren't making any money, but it's just the pride of doing it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I think Ernie made him. What's that?
I was gonna ask. So with the Dri-Dock? I mean, we were there every Monday, right? Is that what it was?
I don't know if it was Monday or what day it was, but it was. We went
like
there
a week.
once a. It was once a month.
Week, right? Oh, was it once a month?
Yeah, we did it once a month because we do 4 tapings, so we do a month's worth of tapings.
Okay. Yeah. For some reason, I was thinking it was once a week.
Yeah, I'm looking at the.
My next question was: do we bring the ring every time and set up the ring once a week? But I guess
it was once a month. I'm looking at all the dates here that we went in there, and like this one we're watching today is December 16th, 87. Yeah, which I think there was a huge snowstorm that night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
It's a lot of decent crowd though. Yeah.
Was this one of the last tapings at the Dri-Dock?
No, let's see. Actually, we did quite a few more. There was January, February, March that you and I were definitely on, and then you might have been on more because that was April. I was my last one, and I don't have that tape even. That was the last one I was on. Was April, but they kept going with it into August, September, October, I think.
Oh, okay. What was
maybe even longer?
Real bad.
What's that?
What was the one where you got cut real bad?
Oh, that would have been. It wasn't this one. I think it was the next. It was the January taping when that happened. January, February. I still got the damn scar to remember that one by.
Yeah, that was. The funny thing about getting color is, when you do it, you try to do it at your hairline
up here,
right?
Yeah.
Little did I realize at 13, my hairline was gonna recede, because you cut at the hairline, so it's not so noticeable, right? But then when your hairline recedes, so now I have a permanent marker of where my hair used to be, right? Which is kind of funny. So,
it's funny when me and Troy went to the PWA with Eddie Sharkey.
Yeah.
Troy wanted to do this chain match. It was my last match I ever did with Eddie, and it was a chain match. And Troy was going to juice for that. He was going to bleed.
Yeah.
And in attendance that night at George's and Fridley just so happened to be Wally Carbo, Al DeRusha, and Roger Kent, the 3 of them.
Wow. Just
to check out the show. And Eddie knew this, and Eddie's like, oh man, these guys are here. You can't juice. You're not juicing. He's telling Troy, you're not going to do it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he didn't want those guys to see young guys, even though we're 18, but young guys juicing.
Right.
So Troy was pissed, and Troy's like, he's talking to me in the dressing room. He's like, you know what? Fuck him. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna juice anyway. I said, Troy, you do that, you'll never wrestle here again. Don't ruin you got a shot to do something. I really thought Troy could have went on with this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He could have done more. Shit, he was wrestling. Sean Waltman, the Lightning Kid and stuff. Yeah. He could have, who knows? He could have hooked up with him and went to Japan, and then who knows where Troy would have went.
Right. Yeah.
So I just didn't want Troy to throw it away.
Yeah.
but he threw it away anyway because he got hooked up with Angie, his wife now, and that rest is history. The wrestling came to the side.
It happens a lot. It happens to a lot of us.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. You guys are doing a chain match. Somebody's got to get color, right?
I know, and I'm thinking I didn't even want to do this thing, but this was Troy's idea,
right?
And I'm like, so I said, okay, Troy, let's do this. I said, we'll sell it, put the chain around my neck, and then throw me into the ropes and pull the chain back. I remember seeing Bobby Heenan do this with the strap with Ken Patera, and it looked awesome. I'm like, I could do that. Never tried it, with a chain around my neck. So he does it. He yanks that thing. I thought I was going to break my neck in doing this thing. It just hurt like a son of. He pulled it way too hard. Right. And I jumped up, and man, but the people were like in shock because it did look pretty devastating.
Were you guys aware that like Wally Carbo and stuff was there?
Yeah, we knew it. As a matter of fact, let me tell you a funny thing. I had my NWF. We had those black jackets. Remember Troy and I had them that were black and they
Yeah.
said NWF Pro Wrestling and had our names on the front.
Yep.
So I put my NWF jacket on. I went after my match and I went up to the bar just to get a soda because I was dying of thirst. And they were right behind me, all three of them.
Mhm.
And they're reading my jacket. And they're talking to each other. And then, real polite, Roger Kent's like, "Excuse me, what does NWF stand for?" I'm like, "It stands for the National Wrestling Federation." It's
Right.
like, okay. And then they just went on their business. And I'm like,
Wow.
so they were actually interested in what the NWF stood for.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm surprised that Wally Carbo and those guys went to a PWA show. Like, didn't Eddie have like a blood feud with Gagne?
He did, but that was kind of
Like he
over
went to his
with.
house and shot it up, didn't he? In the
He
60s?
shut up the office.
Yeah,
he
holy shit.
But that was, they kind of made men's on that. And at this time,
Did they?
Eddie's guys Vern was needing. He was so desperate for talent at this point.
Oh, right,
So
yeah.
he needed Eddie. And
Yeah, he was bleeding talent like crazy.
it's not that they had a talent exchange agreement or anything, but he was definitely feeding from Eddie's talent.
Right.
So. And
Yeah, I
besides,
mean,
at this
I guess
point,
we-
Roger Kent and all those guys, they were out of the AWA by this point.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, this was like 1991
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
or 90, I think.
Yeah.
So-
So AWA was really on the ropes at that point.
It was. Well, I'm going to start the show up.
Yeah.
Jamie, I've got people wanting to see this show going, so we'll start this up. We can keep talking as we go, as
Yeah.
we usually do. So let's get on. This is, again, studio taping 110 from the Dri-Dock, December 16th, 1987. And here we go. BAD Productions. That's the Bushman and Dotzer I was talking about with that story.
Gotcha.
They're the technical directors. Yeah, their intro here has a lot of our armory footage that we did in '87.
Right. I remember when you showed me how to do the.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another week of NWF
What was that?
National Wrestling Federation Professional.
I was gonna say I remember when you showed me how to do the CG stuff at the studio and how blown away I was that you could type on a TV screen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of like, it was pretty cool, wasn't it, to use all that equipment?
It
back
was
then?
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the new National Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion, he is Tom Tyler.
And just so the NWF fans realize, we don't recognize any other champion in the NWF after Kid Kelsey. Because to me, this is Ernie's league.
Okay.
And so it's just, their champions from here on out is from their run.
Gotcha.
So,
Now, to my right here, I have the promoter of the National Wrestling
we got a comment here on Facebook. Are you guys doing tonight? That's Mr. Pretty Boy Taylor himself, Steve Engstrom, joining us on Facebook.
Everybody, we got a good card tonight. He forgot to mention that Grizzly Stevens is going to get a title shot tonight against Tom Tyler.
No Dixie Dave. Yeah, Dixie Dave is, again, for anybody wondering, he is on vacation this week,
And let's get back
taking a week off. He'll be back next week, though. I don't think Jason liked Jeff interrupting him there. He's got that look.
I don't think Jason liked anything or anyone.
Yeah, you were always saying he had kind of a,
He did not like me.
yeah.
That's fine.
Jason at this point was kind of at the end of it. He was
Yeah.
ready to move on. Yeah.
Is this Belinda
these-
Carlisle telling us not to take drugs? So
Yep, one of those rad commercials. But the Dri-Dock, it was a fun atmosphere though, wasn't it, Jamie? The crowd
Yeah,
was
I
always
really
into
liked
it.
it there.
Yeah.
I thought it was
was,
interesting they had a non-alcoholic bar that adults would go to.
Well, if you're on the wagon and you want to
Yeah.
have that bar atmosphere, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
more NWF action.
Jason was a good announcer though.
Yeah, he was great. And he was great on color too.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you had somebody to talk with.
Right.
It's always hard to do commentating when you're by yourself.
Right.
you know, like the old AWA style where they only had one announcer or one
I don't
commentator.
remember this referee. Do we have two refs? Rick Pitts and this guy?
Yeah, Donnie LeBeau. That was Jeff Dinsmore's uncles, Ronnie and Donnie LeBeau. They're
Oh,
twins.
really? Okay.
Yeah. But you know, we should have done something with that. Remember when the WWF did that thing with the twin refs and Hogan threw the one out?
Right.
We could have done something similar.
We had some technical difficulties, it looks like.
So what do we got? We got the Destructors in there. Oh, it's the Mystery Man. The Mystery Man and the Ice Dragon. This match turns into a tag team match.
Okay.
Yeah. This here gets fixed. This is the van. They're having some technical issues, but they fix it pretty quick. Here's the Ice Dragon, Chris Downs.
Hey,
You remember
Chris.
him, of course.
Oh, yeah.
What are your memories of the Ice Dragon?
So Chris lived pretty close to me, Ice Dragon.
Yeah.
And he was 16 or 17. And so we hung out a lot, you know, when we weren't wrestling. And we would go to car dealerships and they had he would tell them, hey, I want to test drive this car. And I think the deal was you just left your driver's license with the dealership and then you could test drive the car. So he would give him his driver's license, and then we would drive the car around for like 4 hours, just all over the city, just putting gas in it and shit, you know. And we'd bring the car back, and they'd be so pissed.
Right.
But yeah, we do that all the time. Just go to different dealerships and fucking take cars on you know, effectively. I forget what you call that, but.
Well, you know, Chris was always a rebel. He was a.
Yes.
That's the best way to describe him. He wasn't afraid of anything. You know, he had no fear. Like, he would stand up for himself, and he didn't care how big you were.
Yeah. His little brother wrestled too, right?
Yeah, Jay Downs, his younger
Downs.
brother.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was Jay's wrestling name?
He went by the Fly.
Oh, the Fly.
Yep. He
Did he
didn't.
do it?
When you joined is kind of when he stopped.
Right.
wrestling.
Yeah. I remember not having a whole lot of contact with him, which was weird because like Chris was older, Jay was closer to my age, but I never hung out with Jay. So.
I think Jay did it just because Chris wanted him to.
Oh, okay.
But Jay was fine. I mean, he did well when he did.
Yeah.
I mean, he was good. I mean, he was Troy's partner for a long, you know, he took the place of the guy, Chris Heinrich, who we had to kick out of the league. Yeah, Hitman Hernandez, he was a good character, but this is kind of one of those matches where they're mixing the NWF with the big guys with the little guys, you know?
Right.
I think Ice Dragon was going for a clothesline in the random.
So it's
going to his corner, he makes the tag with the Hitman.
and this is, of course, like we said, it's Mike Whaley, aka Mr. Macho, commentating with Jason Klassen.
Oh.
Slam, there you go.
I know how that feels, Jason Klassen. That doesn't feel too good.
I bet you do.
That was a pretty good press slam.
Yeah.
And here comes the big
You know, this ring was great, though. I mean, taking
Yeah.
bumps in this ring, I loved it.
Yeah.
It was the best. It was the best thing we ever did getting this ring. Steve Engstrom will agree. It was the best thing for the league.
I can see we've gone back to the tarp, it looks like, instead of the canvas.
Yeah, because that was, you know, when Larry started kind of doing his little takeover, he was
Yeah.
upgrading the ring. He upgraded the ropes to those tube things, and he did the canvas. And
Terrible.
when they had to give the ring back, they kept that stuff.
Oh, well,
Anything that Larry put into it,
right. I guess
and
that
rightfully so. It was theirs,
Yeah.
you know.
I hated the canvas. I fucking hated the canvas.
Oh, Troy, when we bought the ring again from Ernie after this Dri-Dock run, when Troy and I bought the ring, they had the canvas
Oh,
again.
really? Oof.
And Troy babied that canvas. Like, he wouldn't, shoes had to be off when you're in that ring. He just babied that canvas.
Right. Yeah, no, it's funny.
And he took the pain for it.
Because I thought the tube ropes would be great, because that's what they were in NWA. And I fucking hated the tube ropes because they pinched your skin, right? Like they would.
Oh, yeah. You know why? Because they bought the rubber tubes instead of the plastic tubes. Had they had the plastic tubes, it wouldn't have pinched.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, because remember in the NWA, it was plastic tubes. You heard it, bang, 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 and banging that plastic.
Yeah.
We had those rubber tubes which stretched.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why that happened.
I figured that. I figured NWA had the same ropes, and I was like, oh, you poor bastards, right? Watching it for years after I experienced those fucking ropes, which were terrible.
But you know what I'm talking about, the hard plastic versus the rubber posing. Yeah.
And then a canvas for a canvas, like I just remember getting out and just having rug burn all over my body from the canvas.
Well, especially your elbows. That's why I always wear the elbow pads.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I probably
for
should
my
have.
outfit, and your outfit was similar to mine. I mean, my legs and knees were pretty protected. It was just my elbows and arms.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a low blow.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I had mat rash like on my forehead and forearms, like everywhere, shoulder blades, like.
Well, you took some pretty you put some pretty wild bumps in there though, so you could have gotten some burns in those areas, like the way you'd flip around.
Right. Yeah, I guess I just that gave me a whole new appreciation for the big leagues where they had the canvas for a canvas, so.
I don't know if it's true, but I've been told that the WWE's banned the pile driver for real.
Oh, really?
Because somebody got hurt. Somebody got hurt doing it, and so they've decided to not do that move anymore, which I think is interesting.
Well, I think Austin got fucked up from that, didn't he? And that
was
pretty
it?
much ended his
Did
career,
it? Was
right?
it him?
Yeah,
I don't
Austin.
know.
Owen Hart pile drived him and broke his neck, I think.
Yeah, maybe that's when it happened. Maybe that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty sketchy move. So.
Although you do it pretty.
You will see
we
later
do a
in this
variation
match,
of it,
or in our match, that we do a variation of the pile driver, which had never been. I don't think anybody in the league had done before. And you were like,
certainly not the way I did it.
Yeah, no.
Because I jumped up. Normally you don't jump up when you do a forward pile driver, and I did. So that's putting more risk on the damn thing.
Yeah. And I was like, I trust you. And thankfully you didn't hurt me. So thank God.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the last thing you want to do is hurt somebody.
Right, yeah.
That's what the backyarders of the 90s didn't quite get. They were so much into the pain and agony of it.
Yeah.
The light bulbs and the thumbtacks and all that shit.
God, is the thumbtacks thing real?
When they do it, yeah. And who the hell would want to do? I would not want to be involved in that.
Gnarly. Yeah.
But yeah, they got caught up in the extremism of it,
Right. He's getting himself pinned.
It's kind of a cluster there, whatever they did.
Yeah, right.
Pitts was, he wanted to be a wrestler. He really did. That's why
that is Rick Pitts. Okay, I thought it might.
It is. Yeah, it's Rick Pitts. Yeah.
Oh my God. Was his name?
Yeah.
It was his ring name, the Human Bear. Look at all that hair on his back.
God rest his soul too. But Rick passed away.
Oh, did he?
He had a heart attack a long time ago, though.
Yeah.
But he always meant well.
liked Rick. No, I love Rick. He was great. I always thought it was hilarious when you show up to matches drunk and be a referee for us.
God, I mean the conversations I had to have with him at the Armory on that.
Oh my God.
I mean, he was messing up finishes, Jamie. He was messing up finishes. Yeah, in the July card. Doing super fast counts and it wasn't supposed to happen, and the wrong person getting pinned, that kind of thing. And I have to send another ref out to say, reverse it.
Right. What did he say when you talked to him about it?
Well, so after a few matches, we had a break. I brought him back and I said, because we had two refs, we were alternating them. Yeah. And Rick come back and I knew I could smell it on him. Like, Rick, I said, you're more than welcome to do this, but you cannot show up smashed and blitzed. I said, it's not working. He's like, I understand. I say, sobered up and go back out there, but sobered up. And he was completely understanding.
Yeah.
And then when he came for the October card, he was sober. But then he started drinking again on the August card. So I don't know.
Oh, Rick. Yeah,
I think he
remember,
might have been a bit of an alcoholic as well, and that's what can you do, you know?
I don't remember which match it was, but I do remember a match where me and my opponent were in some kind of lockup, and Rick had just had enough, and I think he picked us both up by our scruffs and like separated us. You know? He was so much bigger than us.
Jason. I know when our match, I think it's coming up next, when you have that slip up in the ropes, Jason kind of laugh a little bit.
Yeah.
But he doesn't dwell on it, you know, as he shouldn't.
Right. Oh goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, I wished you could have done more with the league you were starting in the summer. And I wished, you know, like we said, Terry Kosnapple was your poster child. He was the champion of your league. And
yeah,
I wish that would have took off. I remember when we did the interviews in your apartment, I came with the NWF belt and we did that whole...
Yeah, that was great.
The whole Ric Flair
just, you know,
confronting Jerry Lawler type thing.
Right.
You know?
There's just so much, you know, and that gave me a real appreciation for what you'd done. There's just so much involved, you know, with running that whole thing. It's just, yeah. So was not to be, but that's okay.
I don't know if it is our next match. It's either this one or the next one that we wrestle.
First of all, coming in, he is Ricky.
Oh yeah, this is it.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Oh, so Rick wasn't our ref.
No, we had Donnie LeBeau.
Okay. I wonder what music I'm coming out to.
I remember the song. It was
Oh God damn it.
You were embarrassed though.
Oh yeah, no, I'm still embarrassed about that. Jesus. Well, the problem was I got cocky and I didn't put my arm up on the top rope, and so being as short.
Well, maybe
as I
you were
was,
thinking it was the tube rope still, and you didn't want to get pinched.
Yeah, right. So
yeah, they're booing, ladies and gentlemen. I might have had to mute the music for the song I came up to. Your song was a Bruce Springsteen song.
oh, was it really?
Dancing in the...
Really? Oh my God.
Yeah, that Dancing
I
in the
am not
Night
a
or
Bruce
whatever.
Springsteen fan. That's pretty surprising.
Who knows? It's probably something they just picked, you know, from the...
So we got Crusher and Little Fat Crusher. That's what we got here.
Well, I don't know.
There's a reason
I
I
don't
am
think
wearing the singlet.
You might have been a little pudgy, but you weren't fat, and it didn't affect your abilities in the ring at all. Like you were very flexible and.
I have to admit that takes power.
Up against the ropes, thinking he's big.
Yeah. We actually have a better match than a lot of the big guys on this show.
Yeah. Well, you were insanely talented at wrestling, and so you carrying me through the matches.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it, but you don't cut yourself short, Jamie. You were just as well, you know, you might have not have had the history I had, but you were just as talented in that ring.
That's not true, but I appreciate saying that.
Your drop kick was more of a bunny kick. Yeah, I think you do it in this match.
Yeah.
But it
still
work.
Who's calling the match? Are we both calling it, or were you calling it?
I think we were both. And these days we didn't do that heel calls it or whatever. We were just communicating among, you know, like
Okay.
say, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I think we weren't following the right etiquette there.
Hammer lock.
Right, right.
Putting all that pain on that right elbow.
Oh boy, what am I gonna do here?
Crossen, not looking in too much.
If you look close, you might even be able to see us talking to each other.
Why? Crossen,
Although we were pretty good at hiding it.
Yeah, yeah.
that was, I have no idea.
So for people that don't know, a lot of times when you're pushing someone up against the ropes, that's when you tell them what's going to happen.
Or a headlock.
Or yeah, or headlock. Yeah.
You know, some rest point like this right now is a time where we could be possibly talking if I get close enough.
Yeah. And a good time to take a breather.
Yeah, rest spots are very important. You
Yeah.
know, so you don't gas out.
Ooh, that was good.
That one must have hurt. You got him in. Coming down on that arm.
Very high up.
Ricky Vaughn's getting his Christmas present early, and I don't think.
You
it's
know,
much of a
Jason,
present right at
they
this moment.
put us over well at the
Yeah.
commentating.
Yeah.
You can't argue with that.
Crossen will do any dirty book in a trick.
Crossen showing a superior.
Any dirty book in the trick.
Now here
Yeah,
I
I
normally would do the knee, but
I think
because I
you
got
got me on
booed,
this one. I think
and
this
people
one
are
actually hurt.
booing,
Now he is
but they're booing me right now, and I'm like, oh boy, I better not do the knee, so I just do the leg drop.
Oh, I was thinking you did the splits on me, but maybe
The
that.
ref should disqualify him right now.
merciless action.
Normally I do a knee like I did to Kelsey, but
He slaps
Right.
him in the face.
Whoa, that was
Major
a-
Oh
insult.
God, talk about overselling. Jesus,
No,
Jamie.
Jason, that was a
Ricky
slap.
Vaughn hurting.
no, Jason, that was a slap.
A full-
Jason's
a
like,
full back
that was a
flip.
karate chop.
A full backflip on a karate
The
chop.
suplex to
Good
the
suplex
dome.
there.
Oh my
I
God.
think
Yeah,
we
that
know
was
who
good.
The better man is here now.
Leg
Did
And
you-
everybody,
did-
just so you know, when you're suplexed, it's all the other guy that sells that suplex. Giving the suplex is a piece of cake. It's, you know,
Did you did German suplex too back then, didn't you?
I think we do one in this match actually.
Yeah.
And Ricky Vaughn hit that mat like a hammer on a nail.
So this time I don't play it by the hair because I got booed like hell when I did it the first time.
Oh,
Hey.
an inverted
Short clothesline, that's
now,
good.
Now he's stealing my moves with a short arm clothesline or inverted clothesline, as
Uh-huh.
you put it.
Yeah. See here, Jeff Dinsmore, this is the new Crusher Crossen, trained by Dr. Dre. He's trying to cover for the booze.
Right. Says he's been told. Possibly seeing a new Crossen. Elbow to the front.
The
back
new
to the
Crusher Crossen, a wrestler still wrestles the same way.
We need to pick out the face here. Come on, guys.
But this Dr. Dread guy, he is weird.
Yeah, you are a bit smaller, aren't you? I mean, I always thought we were more the same
Yeah.
size, but you're a little bit smaller.
Wild.
And what's-
So
and
there
what's
we're talking
Crossen's
to
in
each
on
other.
with him? I don't
Most
know.
Yeah.
likely.
Oh my life.
To the
In a
crush.
spinneroonie? What the hell?
There's that bunny kick, which I think is good.
Yeah, that was a weird drop kick.
He does not give up, even for a short little punk that he
Ricky
is.
Vaughn is definitely showing precision tonight against Crusher Crossen.
I tell you.
Possibly what he does not have in
Some
strength
weird
is making
punches.
up for inaccuracies.
Mare.
I think you do a really good knee to the
What's he doing? Oh,
very good knee. Yep.
Ah, yes.
To the head.
It's from watching Ric Flair.
Forehead more specifically.
Try to rip
I
off
don't
his
remember
knee drop.
ever getting hurt though on anything you did. Like all the moves were clean.
That's good.
Ricky Vaughn telling him to back off. Now they're circling.
What is on my foot? A bandana?
Like a pair of
Yeah, you got bandanas everywhere.
What the hell?
That's
is going
one
on?
thing that you did that to be a little different than Crusher. You have the bandanas.
Well, so the bandana around my waist is to hold my pants up. Because I had, like, whatever that was, there was no string in them. So I couldn't tie them.
Did you see that?
Nice. That was awesome.
Showing determination still.
I'm still flustered with the booze. You can see it on my face. It really messes you up when you're not supposed to be booed.
Coming back for more.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, and you got stuck.
Almost got stuck.
Forgot about that. Yeah, the
That's
first
about
time
as
you were
bad
supposed
as-
to get locked in the ropes,
That-
you
that's
didn't.
about
You
the-
went over. We redid
That's about
it.
as bad as when you got hung up on the
And
ropes
then,
just
and then
now.
you're stuck in a fucking upside down the rope. Oh my god.
Blow to the midsection.
I remember we talked about doing the double block. We
Yeah,
talked
yeah.
about that ahead of time.
Is out.
Well, I remember the you getting tied up in the ropes. I remember us
Come on, waste this
practicing
punch.
that too.
Likewise,
Yeah.
Crossen waste him. I don't care who wins here.
Here's
Alright,
that
German
German
suplex. Here we go.
suplex.
What
Atomic
is this?
drop. Oh!
That is a
German
scary move to
suplex,
take.
belly to back suplex.
It is because you got to take it on the shoulders.
Yeah,
And
and
he
you
goes right back
can't
to
see
the
where
Elbow.
you're gonna land.
Very technical wrestling here on these parts.
Getting some rest because we're gassed out.
Yep.
Vaughn reverses it, puts him in a leg scissors.
What? Oh, leg scissors, Crossen in pain.
I love the facial expressions that you have, Jamie.
Very well good there. Good beat. If Vaughn had
They're great
Oh
there,
my
just
God.
selling the whole thing.
Oh, jeez.
I
And it's
remember a couple
good.
years
It's
ago,
good.
Kid
It's
Kelsey
good
submitted
selling.
The world title to Crusher Crossen by
Crossen
submission.
excruciating
Trying to remember how
pain.
we get out of this.
Going through him now. Wait a minute, he's trying to break the
I think I
legs.
split.
Almost got
This is where you
himself
probably
Oh,
got
this is where you hurt my
splitting of
legs.
the legs.
Yeah,
Did
that
hurt?
I was like, I remember you split my legs and it hurting.
To the groin.
That was it. Yeah.
Oh, but he comes up with a drop
Here's a
It's
good
a little
drop
more
kick.
normal of a drop kick. Leg on the ropes.
Leg on the ropes.
He,
One
wait a
count.
minute, he has him on the rope.
Ah,
Crossen noting that for himself.
knee drop.
Another knee.
Oh, terrible pain to Crusher Crossen right now. He had a knee drop to the forehead.
Talking to each other.
Uh-oh. Crossen on his
Yeah.
back.
Now this is, I think, the only
Oh.
mess up we do.
It's over him.
The leapfrog. I'm supposed to do a drop kick, and you thought it was another
Oh.
leapfrog.
Sorry about that.
No, he
That's our one mess up.
Yeah.
Normally I'd do the double leapfrog and then drop kick.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Also.
Sometimes, it happens. What can you do?
Yeah.
You just got to keep
On
going.
the elbow.
Another stomp. Stomp to the Crusher.
Yeah, wrestling's interesting because there's certain things you have planned out, but not the whole match.
Come
I mean,
on,
unless
Vaughn,
you're
waste 'em.
Yeah, we just talk
Randy
about, okay, I'm going to
Savage
do
or
this.
whatever.
You're going to do that.
right, and we'll run through a few things. So it's weird to there's people watching you, and it's a little
Seeing two clowns wrestle.
nerve-wracking, and then there's some things you have to remember, and then a bunch of stuff you have to improvise, and
Crab.
Boston Crab.
yeah, wrestling a little tough.
Boston Crab.
He has it. Crossen will cross.
There's the Iron Sheik influence with the head shaking.
Crossen powering up. Oh, and a
And then you do something like that, you got to sell it. That's why I grab my back.
Clip a guy.
that takes
Because you
no
can't
power.
power out and your back's
Right.
not going to hurt.
Yeah.
Leg on the ropes.
Where
But
the
you saw
fuck am I?
Ricky
What am
Vaughn
I?
came
Oh,
right back.
okay.
So going off the second or top rope, maybe.
ropes.
Up on the
Second rope.
second rope. Oh, he misses. Only
He misses. Jason.
A rookie do that.
A rookie error. He
That was
Listen
a
to
rookie
my
error,
show.
yes.
Cannot take your
I
title
love
rope
I
when
love
your
Chris.
Opponent is down on the mat.
Wait a minute, holding on. No, he doesn't quite make it. Oh,
my
he
Lord.
caught him in the chin. You saw that at home.
I'm giving credit to these two.
Saw that at home.
These two are falling up, but they keep coming back.
Neck breaker.
Neck breaker.
Yeah, we give them everything in this match.
Yeah,
I
we
just
did
remember
a
we
lot
did
of
a lot
stuff,
of
yeah.
moves
Now,
here.
it's
Shit.
good. Now
Mhm.
he's working for the leg.
Figure four?
I should have did the figure four there. I don't know why I didn't stop.
Yeah,
Why I
I'm
stopped.
surprised.
He has, wait a
Oh,
minute.
you're getting booed, man.
I know they're
Sorry.
booing me. They do not like me.
Vaughn in serious pain. He got back up on it. A little bit of limpage.
So I'm trying to be doing everything, fair, but it doesn't matter. When they don't like it, they don't like you. Power slam.
Yeah.
1 count, 2 count, and Crossen flips him off.
Hulking out, apparently.
I remember in my battles with Crossen, he always
No,
won
here's
because of
the-
his-
Here's
Here's
that
yep.
pile driver. Yeah, the forward. Now watch how I jump.
Another.
Normally,
So
don't jump.
scary.
That's
You
very
got my
risky.
hands out. That was probably good.
The party's over. Dragging his
I thought Hitman Hernandez
kill to
won.
the middle of the ring. What's Crossen
Dragging his kill to the middle of the ring.
Initiating up and out.
Elbow off the top.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Boo! And I'm looking at him like, what? So, well, we shake. It was the face versus face match,
Yeah.
so we tried to do it that way. But
Yeah. There's no dirty tricks involved, so.
no. But we did a long match. Shit, that was like,
Yeah.
what, 10, 15 minutes?
Oh, really? Jeez.
Yeah. That was
We got a lot of
long
moves
match.
to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was good. I mean, that was definitely the best match I ever had in the league. So
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun
when
match.
when I went through and bought the DVDs, that's the one I bought. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you had some good matches with Terry Block too. You and Invader 1 out at Dayton had some pretty good matches. That one we watched, you had a couple matches
Yeah.
with him out there.
I don't really remember, but I vividly remember this match. So
Yeah, I always thought you and Terry had good matches. Your matches with Ice Dragon were good too. At the Dri-Dock and
I don't
the
even
armor
remember.
card. Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, I don't have. I bet if I watched them, I'd probably remember. But just trying to think back, I don't really remember, unfortunately.
Jeff was good at the mic. He was good on the
Yeah,
stick.
yeah, he was good on the mic. He was good. Good commentator.
Yeah. And Jeff put us all over. He didn't
Yeah,
hold back just for the big guys.
yeah. How old was Jeff, do you think, during this?
He was like, I think he was around Steve's age, so he might have been around the 26, 27-ish, maybe
really?
28.
Okay.
So he's probably 10 years older than me.
Okay.
So the Destructors, and they got the belts, so they're the tag team champions. Not sure where those belts came from. I don't know who made those, but I've never seen them before.
What's the guy in the black jacket's name?
Mystery Man, Leslie Johnson.
Leslie, that's right. Yeah, I remember hanging out with him a bunch too, with
Oh,
the
boy,
Ice
this guy.
Dragon.
Let me tell you, this Russian Bear, do you remember him?
No.
He was horrible to wrestle because he wouldn't give an inch.
Oh, really?
He would not take a bump. He wouldn't sell for you. Ernie was a bit better, but this
Is Ernie
gimmick
the
just,
skinnier one?
yeah, he's Ernie Ellis is the other Russian. He's the Russian Scorpion, but the Russian Bear is the big fatter one, and just wouldn't sell for you. So you'll see it. You'll watch. He doesn't sell for anybody. I think it's he wasn't capable of doing it. He didn't. You know, he just
Right.
wanted to be the big invincible fat guy.
Right. Were these guys doing any kind of practice, like training or anything?
Well, we always practiced beforehand. You remember that, right? We'd set the ring up about 2 or 3 o'clock in the Dri-Dock, and before the cameras were rolling, we'd always practice. That was
Yeah,
when
but I
we'd get
just
ring
mean
time.
like the fat Russian, the fat Russian there,
the bear.
the red M&M there. You know, like did those guys have any? You know, how much experience did he have coming into this match? You know what I mean?
About as much as the rest of us, really. And then try to figure out what you can. Ernie was, like I said, Ernie was better than. But Ernie got really good later on, after this, because Ernie still does it today.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, he's got his own thing and everything,
Oh my God,
and
really?
yeah, he's still in doing all this. And his son's in it and everything.
Wow.
But in the early days, Ernie was still kind of green himself. But
Yeah.
But Ernie would take bumps for you, though. That's the difference between these two.
I love these Russians. They give the Destructors
Sorry, my light keeps going off.
punishment they deserve.
Yeah, right now in the ring, I have no idea on separate names. We'll just call him Russian number
I mean, it's
one.
just-
Looks like
it's
he's
just-
eating too much borscht.
What did he call him? Russian tomato or something, Jason? Looks like he's been eating too much pasta.
Oh, that's awesome.
McDonald's.
Yes.
I'm the first Russian number one. Taking on
See, this is what they want, what the bear would want you to do. Try to just be quicker than him and stuff, and that was his way of
Right.
selling. You got to do more
Right.
than that.
Yeah.
Number one going in against Russian number one. Oh, obviously the big Russian not
That's
too
pretty good.
agile. Kicking
No,
in
that's
the rear
unfair.
section.
That was great.
Disqualified
Not
as
too
Destructors
agile.
right now. There should only be one man in
You
the ring.
can say he quote kicked his butt. Now taking off with Russian number two, going against Destructor number one. This is round
Yeah,
number
Jason was
2.
only here doing this because of me asking him
Yeah.
to.
It's just as big,
Yeah.
if not bigger than
He
Russian
really
number
was
one.
not into doing it with these guys at the Dri-Dock.
Yeah.
But
Number two
Let's go
violation.
Russian.
it was because I was asking him to.
Dumb enough to lock up.
You know.
Oh my lord.
He's so good at it, though.
Flag.
Yeah. You know, when we did the Hall of Fame, we had the announcers category. Jason won it the first year in a
Oh, yeah, I bet.
landslide out of all the other announcers.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I bet.
There was not even close.
By Russian 1.
These Russians, I have to give them credit, obviously do not know the meaning of pain. As I'm sure the Destructors will learn.
Yeah, he was good at it.
Very soon, Russian number 1.
I'm ready to ring the bell. Mystery Man is on the outside of the ring.
Scorpions.
Come on, Russians. Let's go. Call me biased, Jason, but that's fine with me.
Call me biased. Not you, Macho.
Between Destructor 2 and Russian 1.
And, forcing him back with that tremendous ball.
I remember at the one we don't have on tape anymore, the night of wrestling with the NCWA in March, that armory card we did,
Yeah.
when I did the no slam, no belt match, and I slammed Steenerson, so they had to pay the money. And you can hear you, Jamie, you're in the back, getting the crowd going. You're like, "Pay up, Macho!" You yelled out. And then all the crowd starts repeating, "Pay up, Macho!"
Oh, that's
You're
awesome.
like kind of like just making sure the crowd gets the hint. Because not everybody watched the show that was there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They don't know the details.
Yeah.
Ramming his face right into the center of the ring. That ring has a spring, but it doesn't spring too much. It has padding. That padding does not feel like padding. It hurts.
This comment came in during our match, Jamie. I just didn't catch it.
Oh, did it?
right away.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Thank you, Facebook user.
Going in.
I think it might be Steve. I'm not sure.
Just as hastily. Comparing these two teams is like comparing concrete to paper mache. Stone to water. But as you know, the water.
But yeah. So you remember Bob Pfeiffer, right? Beautiful Bobby Ferrari, Larry's manager.
Oh
That-
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He showed up at like the first Dri-Dock, and he wasn't really in with these guys, right? Like
Yeah.
Dinsmore and all them. But Don LeBeau, the ref, and his brother Ron were talking to each other, right? And they're twins. And Bob goes, he's like looking over, he's standing, he goes, "What is there, a mirror between those two?" He could always make you laugh, Bob Pfeiffer.
Awesome.
When I did the Saturday afternoon special and he was my co-host,
Yeah.
God, he was funny. And that was his thing. He wanted to be funny, you know. And
Yeah.
he was very, very funny. He should have never been Larry's manager.
I feel sorry for the
It's a good manager. That's
This is one
I mean, he's the wrong manager for Larry, though.
right. Yeah.
We could have done more with him with somebody else. Like he'd have been great with Pretty Boy Taylor's. He shouldn't.
Yeah.
Larry was a good guy, and Bobby was more of a funny Bobby Heenan kind of guy.
Right.
You know.
Destructor is very wisely trying to keep a fresh man in though.
Nevertheless, Mr. I feel the Destructors have an advantage of a Jill.
Yeah. So
the
this version of the.
Destructors Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say this version of the Destructors is John Hoffman and Ryan Rudd, who took Gary Parr's place when Gary broke his neck.
How did
Not
Gary
in the
do-
ring.
Oh, I was gonna
Not
say.
in the ring. It was in the clay hole, Coon Rapids.
Ah, the fucking clay hole.
Yeah. Show shallow water diving thing.
Yeah, it's not a good mix.
No effect though.
They wearing nicotine patches on their arms? Is that what that is?
Very little of the mystery
I think
there,
it's
which
just
I
like
might point out is
sticker?
tattoo-like things.
Well, if he's smart, which I very doubt.
Couldn't be
he
nicotine
was
patches. They didn't have them back
left
then.
They didn't.
Yeah.
Destructor 2 was lifted off his feet while Russian 2 was choking him.
They're calling them Russian 2 and Russian 1 because
one.
they don't realize the names.
Right.
Oh, he's up there. That is merciless. Down.
Strength.
But you know, my problem with the Russian team, they walk around like this.
Strength.
I'm predicting
Right.
You gotta do more than this. You know, they didn't say nothing. They just
Yeah.
trying to be this big invincible team. And what people want to see with a Russian tag team, they want to see them get their ass
That's
kicked.
just kick. Yeah.
And they never really let that happen, and that's kind of the
Yeah,
problem.
especially in '87 in the United States. Jesus.
Yep.
The height of the Cold War, you know?
Right. There needs to be a payoff, and I never ever saw the payoff with this
Yeah.
this team.
No.
Double clothesline. No, wait a minute. He stopped it.
But you know, what are you going to say? Ernie was running the show here, and at this point in time, you can't argue. I was in charge of the TV production side of things, which is why I got these tapes
Yeah.
while I was involved, but that was my extent of it. It was Ernie's league at this point, so, you know, you're not going to
So
argue.
did Ernie buy the ring from you?
Yeah, I bought the ring, and then I had all these stipulations, like you're going to keep us on, you're going to have a mix, you're going to do it the right way, which we did for a long time.
Yeah.
But then we all kind of phased out. I got tired of it and just got out of it for a while, and then Ernie eventually stopped doing it, and then he just didn't want the ring anymore, so Troy and I bought it back from him. Yeah.
And it's like at Troy's house or something, or was, right?
As pole barn, yeah, we had it. So we had a great setup out there before we got going with Sharky. Yeah, it was a good deal out there in Troy's. I wish we would have done more with that.
Yeah. Do you know what happened to the ring ultimately?
Yeah, what happened was, so me and Troy owned it, and when we started working with Eddie, I think Eddie really wanted our ring, and while I was in Wisconsin, Troy went ahead and sold Eddie the ring out without telling me about it. So he sold it to Eddie.
Okay.
Yeah. And at that point, I'm like, so I'm out $150. I don't care. I'm not going to argue about it. Because we each paid $150 to get the ring back.
That's so cheap. Holy shit.
I know, for a wrestling ring, right?
Today's money. Yeah.
I know.
They keep jumping in the ring. Those distractors. He has to do something.
But yeah, he sold it to Eddie, and then Eddie tried cutting it down. It was a 20 by 20. He tried making it 16 by 16. He cut it down.
That's what he used, right?
Yeah, and then it started falling apart, and it was busting on him, you know, because they still didn't replace all the 2x4s.
Oh, Jesus.
And so then I think he was kind of mad, like he got a piece of crap ring. Well, he should have replaced all the wood with steel, number one.
Yeah, yeah.
With his big guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember we started replacing some of the 2x4s with steel.
Yeah.
But that may have been... Was that when Larry was around?
Right. So he was...
Took it back,
and,
probably.
You know, we had a few oak 2x4s. Those were good. Those didn't break. And the only reason I didn't buy oak 2x4s is because they were damn near as expensive as steel.
Right. Yeah.
I remember a 10-foot oak 2x4 was like $30 back then.
Oof. Jeez.
Which is a lot of money back in 1986.
$90 nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at this. Russian 2 just made
That's a long match.
One tag Destructor 2.
Yeah, it is. It is just about as long as ours. Only ours, we gave him a lot of moves. You can't do much with this fatty in there.
So it's Destructor 1 and Destructor 2 and Russian 1 and Russian 2. Is
and if the Russian Bears are watching, I'm kidding with you, with the fatty.
You're not going to see the Destructors do too much
yeah.
wrestling. It's hard to judge. Wait a minute. USA.
Wonder where they got these masks from.
Well, back then there was catalogs. You know, once we got the boot catalog, they did
really?
masks and everything, so you could get all that.
I feel
stuff.
like the masks are pretty easy to find nowadays, but back then, you know.
I think it was that same boot company. They sold masks too. Yeah.
You can feel the excitement in the air in this match.
I'll never forget when Steve, you know, his white Mr. X mask, he decided to dye it blue. And I'm like, Steve, it doesn't look right. I said it looks so much better white, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I can fix it. I'll bleach it white again."
Ooh.
And it turned out pink.
Right.
He just couldn't get it.
And
right
probably fell
again.
apart. Yeah.
Well, didn't it? Yeah, it was kind of. Yeah, it was like it wouldn't tie up anymore, and
Right.
Mr. Macho ended up taking that mask and using it for his white ninja character.
Oh, the white ninja! I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, he was your tag team partner at the Armory. He took Terry Block's place that didn't show up. Supposed to be Invader 1 and Invader 3.
Throws him into the turnbuckles.
Oof.
He's gonna have a sore gut. Sore flexes.
Tell you the Destructors will be hurting in the morning. And it's gonna take more than Anderson to get them.
See, look at he's trying to fake. That's just it. You're trying like, what can I do to him? He won't take a bump. What can I do
Right,
with this
right.
guy?
Teamed up in the, locked up in the corner. A series of forearm smashes to the
So you know,
I think
He should have stretched. He should have fucking stretched him. Is what he should have done.
yeah.
Twice, 3 times.
I mean,
Seriously, got him
He's
down
just
on the
sitting
ground
there
and
like a
fucking pulled his
frickin'
arms. What
log.
he should have done. Yeah.
Catapulted. Oh.
see, look at he should have took a clothesline bump there and he just couldn't
Yeah,
do
like
it.
come on, dude.
Humpty. Oh.
Uh-oh.
That was
I
pretty
hope
good.
he's wearing knee pads, because if he isn't,
And the communist Humpty Dumpty here.
And that is why
Communist
Jason
Humpty
is the first announcer in the Hall of Fame. The fucking
Yeah,
communist
the
Humpty
communist
Dumpty.
Humpty Dumpty.
I love it. Holy shit.
don't you love this match? I love it. The Russians get beat up. I love
It's a
it.
good match as far as the Russians' debut is concerned.
Hey, was this the Russians' debut? The Russian. It could have been their first match.
Will be going home and licking their wounds. Never, I feel, have they met such a tough opponent
Yeah, these
This
guys need to
ref
pick up
has
the
a very
pace,
slow
man.
count.
on
I
the street, let alone in
Yeah.
the ring.
It's a long match. It's pretty fucking slow.
Well,
I'm
you know,
that
you
dude's-
can't.
I'm sure that dude's totally gassed out. You know.
You know, and the thing is, if the bear can't bump, then Ernie stay in there more.
Right.
Take
yeah.
the bumps. You know. Sorry, the other phone's going off here.
Yeah, that's all right.
But yeah, you gotta. You know. I could go on and on with this Russian. I was
Right.
never a fan of this team. I think I loved the Dirty Ernie's character, the Dirty Ernie character.
Yeah.
I thought that was great with the chainsaw and everything.
Mhm.
I was never a fan of this Russian team though, just because they weren't doing it right.
Yeah, I think it's Be Kind Animals Week, so I don't think they would.
What an asshole. I mean, I don't know that he was gonna get a. What was he gonna do? A sunset? Nah.
Is that it? Ring the bell, ring the bell, that's it.
So instead of us seeing the Russians get their tails kicked here, we end up seeing them kicking the tails,
Right.
and that invincible walk around the ring.
Yeah, I mean, it should be this. Oh, there we go.
And we got her
Schmaz at
coming
the
in to
end.
save the day. Oh, Brett Dredd wants to bang them together.
Yeah.
Oh, heck is breaking news. That's 1, 2,
Some miscommunication there.
5 on 2,
Yeah.
plus the referee. Dr. Dre.
There we go.
Isn't that great how the Bears sold that double headshot?
He's out there.
He was
Oh.
Jamie. He was not. I shouldn't rip on him. We weren't exactly great either. Some of us, right?
The Russians have
I mean, we're fucking better than that, dude.
Packers.
Yeah, I would have to. I'd
Yeah.
have to agree.
Future World Tag
Yeah.
Team champions.
Yeah, somebody should have pushed that guy on the ground and stretched him out.
Stu Hart style.
Yeah.
Have you seen that Dark Side of the Ring? Any of that stuff?
Yeah, yeah, I've seen a couple of those. It's
Those are
good.
good. Those are good
yeah,
stuff.
real good. I haven't seen season 3 yet, but
Yeah, I know it's hard. They get through all the good stories and.
yeah. It's
Um,
amazing how many wrestlers are from Minnesota. Like, all, you know, Road Warrior, Scott Hall. Wasn't Flair from here?
yeah.
Like his
The
adopted
people have
family was
said
from
they
here.
should do a
Yeah,
Dark Side of the Ring on the NWF.
That'd be amazing. I mean, there's definitely drama.
Yeah, with the NCWA and Larry
Yep,
and all that. Yeah, they could definitely do a.
We should just send them the book, right? And
Did,
just be like,
did
"Here,
I ever
read
tell
this."
you the story of what happened when I got the ring? When I demanded the ring back and got the police involved, and Larry found out. And Mike Whaley, Mr. Match, was coming over to my house, and it just so happened he came to my house at the same time Larry pulled up in his truck. And so Mike's at the door, and then Larry comes up and just rings the doorbell, and he just wouldn't say nothing. Mike just breathing heavy, and I knew
Right.
Larry was out there. And like, I'm not opening the door. I
Yeah,
don't know what he's here for. But he came to my house. He wanted to confront me over all that.
an asshole.
Then I waited till he left, and then I let Mike in, and Mike said, "Yeah, Larry didn't say anything. He's just staring."
Wait, so Mike's just like standing at the doorway with Larry?
They're just standing together.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And finally, Larry went back in his truck and left.
Wow. That guy.
Okay, Dr.
Did that guy
Dredd versus
die?
Pretty Boy Taylor. Who's that?
Larry? Did Larry pass away? I thought
Yeah,
it was-
we had Steve on as a guest like a month ago, and he mentioned
Yep.
he confirmed that Larry had a heart attack.
Come on, slow boy.
So, I can't find any obituary or nothing though. But yeah, apparently he had a heart attack about I don't know, 10 years ago maybe,
Oh wow.
10, 15 years ago.
Pretty Boy Taylor, for reasons unknown, has been delayed. He should be here any minute. Probably, as the crowd suggests, combing his hair.
Combing his hair, is that what he said?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
You know, we all have our issues with Steve, right? You know, he's got a checkered history with the league, but he did apologize to us when he came on for what he did, and he was good in the ring. Can't take nothing away from him in the ring. He was a hell of a good bumper.
Absolutely good in the ring.
Jamie, I would say Steve, just in pure taking bumps, maybe not so much match chemistry and everything, but just taking the bumps was as good as anybody in the business at that time. You know, he really could take the bumps.
He was real good at being a heel too. I thought he was great at being a heel.
Oh yeah. He made us look good when you were in there with him. And I tried to take that. That's what I tried to take from Steve in all the matches I had with him, as I tried to do that. Like with you and our match, anytime you were on the offensive, I try to do the same because that's what makes a good match.
Yeah. Is that Jeff in a mask up there?
Dr. Dredd, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that was always Jeff in the mask. That's why he never did an interview as Dr. Dredd, because he could never disguise his voice enough.
Right.
So I had to always talk for us. At least they're not booing me anymore. I'll never forget that after a match, Jamie, I came back there and you came right up to me. You got booed!
Had to gloat a little bit. I mean,
I would have
lost
done
the match, right? So,
I would have said the same thing if it was the other way around. Comment here from our one of our regular watchers, Tom Huben. Steve was a genuine when he apologized too. He went down the wrong road. Easy to do that at that age. Absolutely. You know, I know, Jamie, you're a little. It's hard for you to forget because your wrestling boots disappeared with Steve, and that's not cool.
Nope.
And I get it. You know, but he was. He's right. Tom's right. He really was. I don't know if you've seen that, Jamie, but he was sincere in his apology. I do believe.
Doesn't get me my boots back.
It doesn't get your boots back.
Nope.
How about these ignorant fans out here tonight?
Looks like the mystery man's joining now, to giving Macho a break.
Hey, we got Rick Pitts in the ring finally.
Yep, reffing. And here's Rick, an alcoholic at the Dri-Dock, right?
Right.
Man, Steve was good at those bumps. They're so crisp.
Great
And
clothesline.
you watch how he falls and when he takes this stuff.
Yeah. No, I will not take anything away from him as far as his skills in the ring. And it's,
What we
Yeah.
saw, the Russian Scorpions pose quite a problem for your Destructors. Even I have to admit.
title shot. They're never getting a title shot again.
Well,
Never getting a title shot.
we have an arm lock by Dr.
Wait, the Destructors were... Didn't the
They were the
Destructors
world
submit?
champions.
So how did they not lose the title?
No, they got the Russians got disqualified in
Oh,
that
did they?
one.
Okay.
Reach for the ropes. Dredd, what's Dredd doing? Dred obviously not knowing the rules. Look at the hair on that man's back. Okay,
Fucking hell.
You're right. That is why Jason's in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
That was Dred's stupidity right
Yeah, you do not want to fall victim to Jason, man. Holy shit.
He could make you laugh.
Yep. Oh, taking out the ref.
That was a good.
Yeah.
Very, very well done there. This is a weird finish here. I remember what happened now. So remember, Pretty Boy Taylor's the heel.
Right.
And then we get this. If anything, Dion should have been doing this to Dred.
Right.
You know, this is not a good finish. I mean, Taylor's the heel. You want to get the heat, you have Dion come in and go after Dred, and then they work over Dred and that or whatever. And yeah, not the right way to do that. Because now, like, look at Steve's the heel, and he was double teamed.
Right. And then cheered.
Right. And as you can see, the fans aren't really on him.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, how many of the people in the audience do you think watched the show? You know.
Yeah,
So-
there's a number of them did though, but
Yeah.
but did they follow it to a
Right.
You know?
And one thing to say to you for coming in this match, I want to accept this as a win.
The hair on his back.
I got you at the end of this match. And believe you me, it's going to be a match for first blood.
This is where Steve juiced on the next show.
Oh, right.
He did it properly. He didn't go having an extra mouth on his forehead like I did.
Down to the skull itself.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. We have more exciting action of the National Wrestling Federation come up. Don't you go away.
Is Taylor spelled wrong?
I didn't catch it. Was it?
It was. I think on the screen it said Taylar.
If it was, then it was.
I love it. Guys in the truck are getting a little lit up out there, probably.
Yeah. Was it Cinderella?
Oh yeah, Cinderella. They gonna tell us not to do drugs too?
Yeah. Even though I think they did their fair
Yeah.
share. The only group I know that didn't do drugs was CCR
Oh, Creedence?
during that whole era. Yeah. I remember hearing an interview where they talked about that. Trying to think. Do we still have must be one more match?
There we go. Way better camera angle.
Yeah.
Is this a
Bandit.
raccoon?
What's that?
I said, is he dressed as a raccoon?
The Bandit?
Bandit?
No.
No. Oh,
No, you remember this guy? I remember him.
no.
He's in the ring now, the Bandit.
We have with a rather infamous name in the National Wrestling Federation.
I have no idea what his real name is. Yeah, see, so Dion kind of had a problem.
Did he
Dion
come
had
in
a
over the
problem.
top rope?
He did.
That's fucking nuts.
You know, he was really fired up. Dion
Yeah.
was.
What is it tonight with these wrestlers?
I don't know. Outlaw Dion's more like
I liked it when his character was like this, fast-paced.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, 2, 3.
He kind of
Oh,
slowed it
shit.
down after a
Wow.
while. Yeah.
Wait, so
The winner of that match, record time. He is the Outlaw Dion Dallas.
wow. So the 110-pound dude to the squash
Well,
match.
I think the whole
Dave from the
purpose was
bar?
no, we remember we're 60 minutes, and so we had to end the match quick.
Oh, is that okay?
So that was kind of I remember them talking about that. You're gonna have to make it a quick match because we're gonna run out of time.
Right.
Okay.
There have been
So-
some matches that actually ended with the credits rolling, and the match is still going on.
Like NWA style.
Yeah.
What was what was the time limit? Was it the Dri-Dock or was it the truck?
No,
Or
because
was it
we had a
just the
60-minute
show?
time slot, so it was always an issue if we went over 60 minutes.
But we weren't live, were we?
No, but it just makes it a pain when you have to, because they're shooting this in the van to air. Like they're shooting it to air, so all I gotta do is just
Right, right,
transfer it over. It's
Gotcha.
not being edited.
It's been a bad production. I wonder whose phone number that is now. We should
That
call
would be
it.
Greg Bushman's at the time, but I don't think it's anymore.
Be like, hey, is this Bad Productions?
Yeah. Lots of kids though at the Dri-Dock.
Yeah.
Like little kids like this guy running around. I remember there being lots of kids like that.
Yeah. This is a great place to do events at, I thought.
It was family friendly with being dry,
Yeah.
no alcohol.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is the fans didn't get too rowdy like they did at George's and Fridley with all the alcohol.
Right.
Some really rough crowds there.
Yeah, every asshole thinking they could be in the ring.
Yeah.
It's like, oh boy.
So yeah, that was a fun show.
Yeah, that was great. I thought the Russians match was a little long and a little underpaced, but
I always rip on them. Every time we've done these Dri-Dock shows and these Russians, I always rip on them just because it was frustrating. Did you ever have matches with them?
No.
It was just frustrating being in the ring and not being able to do anything.
Yeah. You have to tell the story. There's got to be that give and take, unless you're the Road Warriors and they were not. So
Right. And and while Ernie had some talent, the Bear can't just be a big, overweight guy and be over like that. It's just, you got to do more.
Yeah.
Think about all the big guys that are in wrestling like that. They can take bumps for the most part. Look at Blackwell, Bundy.
Yeah, Blackwell was great. Oh my God.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean he was he was
so huge,
underrated.
Yeah.
And
yeah, when we were talking earlier about the AWA and a lot of guys were in and out of the AWA and going to different territories. I think Blackwell was always with AWA. So
yeah, it was funny. Blackwell actually, I remember reading this. I remember watching. You remember the Tuesday Night Titans show on USA Network?
No.
WWF Tuesday Night Titans. It was their weekly cable show in the 80s. Well, they it was Vince McMahon at the desk, and they always have guests, and they'd show matches. And he said, next week we'll see the debut of Crusher Blackwell. And I thought, shit, now Blackwell's going over there. Well, next week came and no Blackwell. And
really?
So yeah, years later I read that Blackwell agreed to go to the WWF and was halfway there driving, just didn't have the heart to do it to Vern and turned the car around and went back.
Wow.
That's one story I heard.
Yeah.
That was from that guy that did all those wrestling magazines in the Mankato area, that Mankato publication. That's what he said.
That's interesting.
The other story is he did go, and then he didn't like the way they were doing the interviews, and so he said, screw it, I'm done. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
A comment from Facebook, I think he means Ernie, had to put the Bear over, meaning Ernie had to do all the work. But,
yeah.
Even then, Ernie could have did more.
Ernie could have picked a different partner. I mean,
Yeah, that's...
unless he owed the dude favors in real life or something, or money.
This is another Facebook user. Hey guys, how are you? That's Jeff Dinsmore.
Hey Jeff, how you doing?
So yeah, Jeff Dinsmore, longtime friend of the show and of myself, and
yeah, I thought
we had Jeff on as a guest a little bit before you. He was a great guest. Really?
Yeah, I thought Jeff was great on the mic.
This is Jeff's comment again. The Bear was terrible.
He wasn't even bearable. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a fun show tonight. I love watching these drive. I like watching the older stuff, because I still like watching the stuff when we're in the earlier days, the Group W days, the garage days. I like that. But what I like about this era is we're polished more.
Yeah.
The moves are like our match. Look at our match.
Yeah.
And it was just more professional wrestling. That was we got to the point where we were viable.
Yeah.
And
I think, I think the production quality was a lot better too. I mean, watching a lot of the Armory stuff, like the light is so dark. I remember that being an issue for us because we had the lights above the ring, but then that left weird shadows. I feel like
you're talking about the Armory.
Yeah. The Armory shows.
Yeah. So the light above the ring, that was Steve Engstrom's. He made it. It was the best we could do, but you're right. It wasn't enough. And the only one that looked good was the August card because we left half the Armory lights on.
Oh, okay.
In addition to that thing.
Right.
So that made it light up a little bit better, but
yeah, for some reason, video cameras just needed a ton of light back then. And then there was, if you pointed the camera at the light, there was that weird burn on the screen and all that stuff. So yeah,
here's a question for you. There's a question for you, Jamie, from Jeff. He says, did you ever wrestle Dr. Dread?
I don't think so.
You don't remember having a match with him? Even in the early days in the pole barn or anything?
I don't remember. I have a pretty good memory for stuff. And for some reason, I don't recall a lot of wrestling.
Do you remember wrestling at the Dri-Dock that Jeff did in the spring? The first one we ever did there. The one that was kind of a one-off at the time. It was right around the March Armory card. Remember going to the Dri-Dock for that one?
No.
Yeah, because that's where I wrestled Dr. Dread.
Well, I'm a bad co-host.
Yeah. And I actually put Dread over on that one. I got pinned for him on that one.
Hey?
He asked me, and I said, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta win some, you gotta lose some,
Well, we made it controversy. He hit me with some loaded fist. So. He had a roll of quarters or something, and he hit me with, and it wasn't a clean pin, but it was a pin.
Right. Well, that's how that works, So yeah, I don't think I ever I don't think I ever won a single match, did I?
Oh yeah.
I don't remember.
I think you did, didn't you? You had to.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I should mention it, but no, I think you did. You won your. I think you won the Armory card.
I don't remember.
Or no, you didn't because Ice Dragon hit you with the cast.
Right.
And then you got pinned. Yeah.
That's what happens when you. If you're good at taking bumps, you end up being the guy on the losing end of things.
So. You know what though, Jamie? Like I'd say that Steve was so really good at bumps, but you were still very good at bumps yourself.
Oh, thanks.
What I mean by bumps, I'm looking at like how are you landing when you get hit? When you get a drop kick, when you get a clothesline, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Are you flipping up and landing like Steve did so well? And you did pretty good too.
Yeah. Oh,
so.
Thanks,
yeah, I loved that's. I mean, I had no issues, and that wasn't our first match. You and I had a match out in Dayton too, the pole barn.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah,
it's funny when when we were doing this, I kind of saw us as prepping to be adult pro wrestlers, and I thought for sure you were going to graduate out of this and end up, in whatever promotion. And like to this day, I'm shocked that you didn't end up doing that. You were so talented at this that I don't understand. And I know that, back then it was, you had to be a fucking steroid dude or whatever.
Well, if you weren't 220 pounds, you weren't viable.
Right.
There was the weight factor. That was kind of a rule of thumb. You had to be over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. And so, but there was one factor that was really fighting me, and that was my dad. He was not a fan of me doing this. He liked what I did and how I grew, but he didn't like the physical abuse in the ring.
Right.
And he was always afraid I was going to get hurt or I was going to pay for it years later. So my dad always would keep telling me, you're just not big enough. This isn't, you got to move on. You got to get out of this, find something. And he was just talking me out of it. No, and that was one of the the reasons. And then the other thing was with Eddie Sharkey was we kind of had a little bit of a falling out for a while there when I still don't know to this day what Eddie's problem was, but he just felt it best we part ways. And at that point, I was already had a career going in Wisconsin, and I was ready to part ways. I mean, it was a hassle for me to come from Wisconsin all the way back. You know what I think it was Eddie was mad because I wasn't making every month. I was doing like every other month because I had to travel from Wisconsin.
Right.
And Eddie didn't like the on and off, on and off, on and off. So I don't know. Just
yeah. I mean, how much were those paying though? You know, like,
not very much. I remember because I was working at Wausau Homes with my normal job. I would get done with work on a 10-hour shift. I would drive 3 hours, get there just in time for my match with Troy or whatever.
Yeah.
Be done. I have to split, get back at 3 a.m, and then get 2 or 3 hours of sleep before I had to be to work. It was I just couldn't keep doing that.
Yeah.
that was too much.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I don't know. I always thought you'd end up in the bigger leagues, and it's unfortunate that it seems like what in the later 2000s or I guess early 2000s is when they started introducing like lighter weight guys, right?
The lighter guys, like when WCW brought in the Lucha Libres and stuff, that's when you're really seeing the featherweights.
Yeah.
And Lightning Kid, Sean Waltman really opened the door up with the 1-2-3 Kid.
Right.
And Razor Ramon and that whole angle.
Yeah.
Because Waltman wasn't the biggest guy around.
No.
And he roided up a little bit though. He beefed up a little bit for what he could. But I don't know. Yeah, I definitely had the drive. I mean, it was in my blood. That's for damn sure. But you know what I noticed in the PWA, Jamie?
Talented at it, so.
But the thing is, what we did in the NWF, even with Jeff and Ernie and them guys at the Dri-Dock, it was fun to do it.
Yeah.
In the PWA, the difference between the two is in the PWA, all the guys, they want to be in the WWF and they will step on you to get there.
Right. Yeah.
They're all about their own gimmick, their own angle. They didn't give a shit about if the match is going to be good. They just wanted to put themselves over in the match.
Right.
And that's when I realized, like, this isn't what I want.
Yeah.
So that didn't help.
Right.
You wouldn't believe how much that was going on.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine. I can't imagine that paid super well, and so whenever I hear interviews with wrestlers, they're always talking about making money, and so
the way Eddie was paying us back then was he just gave us tickets. He'd give you like 8 or 10 tickets, and you sold them. That was your pay.
Right.
Yeah. The only time I got paid cash from Eddie was when we did our dual event. There was 2 things I asked for. I said, I just want the rights to the videotapes for our show to be able to use it. And he said, that's no problem. And then with that, Eddie would take the gate, and then he paid us. So he paid us all for the matches we worked.
Yeah.
So, and Steve got paid double because he wrestled twice.
Oh, really?
So,
I didn't realize
it was a pretty.
That. Was one of them
masked? Yeah, he was Mr. X and Pretty Boy Taylor. So
that's right. Okay.
So it was Eddie was fair about it, and everything. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun show though, and I know that you won't be with us next week, but next week we have. I just got some confirmation tonight. He's ready to go. We're gonna have former NWF World Champion joining us as a special guest, Ace Andrew Carlson.
Whoa.
He's before your time, Jamie.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, I remember seeing his matches though.
Yeah, 1985. It was the year of Ace, and man, now this will be a fun interview because he was in all those shoot title matches. they weren't predetermined.
Oh, right.
And yeah, so rough matches.
I
for
forgot
him.
that you guys did that. Holy shit.
Yeah,
I bet.
that was my dumb way of thinking. I got to make it fair. So I'm not going to decide the title matches. Right. What a mistake that was.
Oh my god.
Yeah, shoot title matches. You talk about rough matches.
Yeah. Is that what you guys are going to watch next week?
Yeah, we'll probably watch when he won the title. What Ace doesn't know is, he beat me for the belt in the shoot match. What he doesn't know is I let him beat me. It was I could have beat Ace, and we'll talk about that.
Right.
But I just wanted to blow it up because Ace wanted to be a heel, and he was a really good, popular kid with the girls in school, and it was not going over on the show. So I'm like, as popular as I was at the time, I thought I'll just let him beat me for the belt, and that'll piss everybody off, and it did.
Yeah, right.
But it also riled up. I wanted to stir up the other wrestlers. They all wanted the belt, so I'm like, let's give the new kid the belt.
Oh man.
So a little bit of animosity there.
Right. Oh, that's brilliant. I can't.
But yeah, so I figured I'm just gonna let him beat me for that belt, and then I behind the scenes I was always helping him out. We did a lot of AWA reversals where Ace lost the belt and then I'd reverse it the next week.
Right.
On a technicality.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I call them AWA decisions.
Yeah. The Hogan Bockwinkel thing.
Vern was a master at doing that.
Oh God. Just pissing off his audience over and
Yeah,
over again.
I mean, talk about making mistakes. Vern just didn't know what he had with Hogan.
Well, he was so concerned with Hogan not having like legit amateur skills that.
Well, yeah, because Vern was
wasn't it?
Vern was a big time amateur wrestler.
Right.
But then there was the merchandise squabble and him wanting a cut of his Japan deal and Hogan saying no, and they were just bickering over stupid stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't get any of their stuff out of territory,
Right.
And I mean, I would think the guy, would get most of the merch sales, but.
Well, and then it's kind of stupid. Hogan talks about how Vern sold the Hulk shirt without him in on it. It was I helped bring back the Hulk shirt. I bought one. It wasn't exactly a Hulkamania shirt.
Right.
It was Hogan was gone, so it was this campaign to bring him back, and it was all part of the angle to build up for Hogan coming back.
Oh,
so I don't really blame Vern on that one. Hogan's kind of stretching a little bit there.
He stretches a lot of truth, I feel like. When I hear him talk, I'm like, you were such a bullshitter. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is not what
Hogan does give Vern credit for. He said Vern was the one who told him to do the whole shaking thing in the comeback.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was all Vern. So he does give Vern his credit. Do you ever hear the story when Hogan tells about how when him and Vern locked up in the dressing room? Him and Hogan.
No.
Yeah. So Vern was writing out the schedule. So Vern's writing out the schedule and everything, and Hogan's kind of looking over his shoulder to see where he's got to go, what towns and stuff. And Vern didn't like it, and he's like, "So you think you're a tough guy, huh?" And Hogan's like, "Well, I don't think I'm tough." And he's like, "Oh yeah?" And he gets up and he's like, locks up with Hogan, right? And Hogan just grabs him and pancakes him and just comes down with all his weight. Just pancakes Vern in front of all the guys.
Oh, boy.
Vern finally gets up, his hair is messed up, and he's just hot.
Right.
And he's like, "You haven't seen the last of it yet. This isn't over yet." And then they kind of like all dragging everybody, bringing them, separating, bring them back. And it's like, Vern, you're an old man now. Don't mess with this big guy.
Well, I'm sure he's like the rest of us now. Like, I don't see myself as an old fat dude with a gray beard. I still see myself as a good-looking 23-year-old kid. And then I look in the mirror. I'm like, who the fuck's that guy? So I would think Vern. And like Vern was like 60, having matches with the Sheik and shit, like in a cage at Wrestle Rock, right? Like, I mean,
right.
He still thought, I got it, and. If Hogan wanted to win the title, I guess plowing Vern probably wasn't the brightest thing to do, but I don't know. I love the story about Vern trying to hook up his daughter with Hogan and Hogan saying how ugly she was.
But Zbyszko hooked up with her.
Oh, really? I think,
Yeah, he was married, I
Hogan
think,
said
at one
he looked
point.
like a female, like Greg with a wig on or something, right? Oof. It's rough.
Yeah. I don't know. You don't. Do you remember the Super Sunday event when Hogan was supposed to? Everybody thought
I
he was
think that
going to win the
before I
belt
started watching.
before he started
This was
watching.
before I started watching wrestling. Yeah.
Well, I was there. I was in attendance, and man, I'll tell you, leading up to that event, the whole Metro, we were convinced Hogan was going to win that belt.
Yeah.
It was not a doubt in our mind, and it was such a letdown when it didn't happen.
I bet.
God, was it a letdown? I still remember it.
Do you know how many matches do you have in St. Paul with Bockwinkel? Like, it was like a bunch, right?
Well, for the title, I know of two. That was the first one, and then the second one. But I know he had like handicap matches, like him and Andre went against the whole Heenan family and stuff like that. Yeah,
I wish I would have seen that stuff.
That was the I was at that match too.
Oh wow.
And it was Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan against all four, the Bobby Heenan, Ken Patera, I think Jesse Ventura and Big Bad Bobby Duncombe.
Wow. So that
was a good match.
You got to see Andre wrestle, huh? In real life?
Yeah. Actually touched the shoulder when he came out when he's coming out the thing. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And that's the thing, with the NWF. So I'm watching all this and I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this right now. I do not want to wait till I'm 18 or anything. And that's where it all started. That's where we got the idea that we're gonna do it. We're gonna make it work. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, I learned a lot of stuff by watching you, just take shit by the horns and do it. And it didn't matter your age or anything. You're just like, okay, we're doing, I'm doing this. And you fucking made it happen. It was pretty amazing. And that's kind of, that's kind of something I've done with my own life after seeing you do that, where I'm like, I'm woefully unqualified for this, but I'm going to try it, and like, it's worked out really well for me. Like, you just act like you're supposed to be there and, just go after what you want. And, that's
and you developed that pretty quickly. I remember at you had that, you got that attitude fairly quick, because I remember at the August card, the Armory, Bobby Ferrari was managing his team or whatever, and he kept commentating, but then he walked away and you took a spot, got on the mic, and you guest commentating, and Bob wanted to come back, and you were like, you could hear you're on the mic, and you're like, what? No, I have the microphone. No, you're not getting it back. And he's trying to come in there, and you're just standing up for yourself. No, you're not. I'm here. No.
No, I got those ideas from you, man. I mean, just, the sheer amount of stuff that you had to do to pull off the league, that the people that watch have no idea about, on so many levels, getting the ring, rounding up all these fucking people and teaching them how to, to wrestle, and the TV stuff, and then the drama with the fucking jerks at the cable trying to rent an armory, that's nuts. And you did all of that and sending the tapes all over the country to cable stations, like, an unbelievable amount of work. And you pulled it off, and I'm like, so, unfortunately I joined a little late, but I'm so grateful that I got to be a part of it and, benefit from the hard work that you did. And this is something, this is part of my history of my life that, it's something I'll never forget, and it was a really cool thing. And, not many people can say they were a pro wrestler,
Right. At 13.
At 13, and I have you to thank for that. And every time I talk to you, I'm gonna thank you for it. So.
Well, I I appreciate it. I do. I'm not gonna lie. I love hearing people remember it. But for me, it was all of us. You know, it was the whole group of us. Because without people like you and Steenerson and Dixie Dave and everybody else and Steve even Angstrom,
Yep.
without all of us, it wouldn't have never worked. I couldn't do it by myself. I needed people like you, you know, because it took us all. Mike Grimsley was on last week, a professional wrestler, former. He came on as a guest, and he said it best. He said, what you guys are doing is pure love. This is what it's all about. He goes, I'm not looking at the crispness of the moves. It's you guys have got the heart. And if not, everybody's not firing on all cylinders, it doesn't go. And he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been the one thing I've always tried to echo is that it's taken all of us, you, me, Troy, Matt, Jason. I'm using first names now. You know, people that watch the show like, well, it's Crusher and it's the Irish Terror and it's Dr. Dread and Paper Trailer. But to me, it's Jamie, it's Jason, it's Mike, it's Troy, it's Dave. You know, so it's hard for me to always use the character names. But yeah, so we had talented people. And what it was, we had diehard wrestling fans that wanted to do it.
Yeah.
That's really what it was.
Yeah.
But what this Mike was trying to say is that we, you know, the amount of respect we had at that young age for the business.
Yeah.
Trying to, you know, just have the pure heart. That's what he was trying to say. And I mean, I've always tried to say what he said, and he said it so good in that show we had last week. I was just so grateful he came on and said what he said. Because it's not often, Jamie, you get somebody that's been in the business to come in and say that.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and that was pretty cool to hear.
That's awesome.
Well, I suppose we're at the end of our show. I can wrap it up, and I hope everybody enjoyed this one. That was a fun one from the Dri-Dock.
Yeah. I had a great time. I really appreciate you having me on and getting to watch our match again together. Like what, 35 years later or whatever.
35 years.
So,
I thought Dave would pop in here, but he must be busy with his friends, as he should be, and enjoying the week off.
could use a week off. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's
Dave,
all right.
Dixie Dave will be back next week. Thanks for everybody. Thanks Tom Hubin, Steve Engstrom, Jeff Dinsmore, everybody joining us out there. And as usual, we get 95% of our views in replays. So everybody will be watching this one. For those of you watching it in replay, I hope you enjoyed it. So
Thanks, everybody.
all right. Thank you guys. And we will see you guys next week with hopefully we'll have Ace Andrew Carlson with us next week.